The Oklahoma Sooners, they got the bowl game that a lot of people expected, and the bowl game that was really being reported throughout the past month after Oklahoma State had beat Oklahoma and handed them their second loss. You knew Oklahoma was going to be out of the playoffs. You knew it was probably a slim chance that they'd make the New Year's Six Bowl. And after Florida State got absolutely snubbed, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, Oklahoma fans kind of got a little bit of hope, but it was still a faint. It was like that heartbeat. So before we get into it, I apologize for the last video and the audio for Twitter playing. It wasn't playing on my speakers, so I didn't assume it was playing for you guys. That was my bad. I should have caught that. For those who are wondering, my prediction is EPL to Oklahoma. I had some sources DM me on Twitter yesterday about 3:30 that helped me confirm that. So at this point, I'm a 10 out of 10 that he ends up in this class. So you take that for what you want it. But today we're going to talk about Oklahoma versus Arizona and the Arizona Wildcats in the Alamo Bowl and talk about the significance of this and, what's going to happen for Oklahoma. But before we do that, I need to hear from y'all, and I need to hear what your guys' thoughts are. So make sure you're jumping down in the comments below, joining the discussion. And if you guys haven't already, help me out. Hit that like and hit the subscribe button. It means a lot to me. All right, so let's go ahead and let's dive into it. The Oklahoma Sooners are going to be playing the Arizona Wildcats. Not a sexy matchup, but you're playing the number 14 team in the country on December 28th at 8:15 Central Time on ESPN. So for Oklahoma, you still get a decent bowl game. Oklahoma and Texas are way too familiar with this bowl. If you guys remember, when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma in 2021, we actually had Bob Stoops coaching us against Oregon in the Alamo Bowl. So fun now that we're coming here in full sight with Brent Venables. And if you ask me, I know a lot of people would have loved to have made a New Year's Six Bowl or to have even gone to the playoffs in Brent Venables' second year. But for Brent Venables to go out there and win 10 games for Oklahoma and to make the Alamo Bowl, I think that is showing that this team is making great strides. And although Oklahoma has regressed a little bit towards the back end of the season where, let's be honest, with Stutzman kind of being in and out with not being healthy, I mean, let's call it for what it is. And that's no knock on Stutzman, but Stutzman wasn't healthy. You had Gentry Williams not healthy, Peyton Bowen not healthy. You expected the Oklahoma defense to regress a little bit. The Oklahoma offense, though, found their footing after 2 losses. They really figured out who was going to be their deep threat option and how they were going to get the ball to all these different wide receivers. And so you come into this game against Arizona and you're going to San Antonio where, hey, you know what? Oklahoma, they should have a good outing here. I would feel like Oklahoma's going to probably hold 60% of the fans here. And although it's not a sexy game for you, it's an opportunity for your coaches to hit the road early to be able to get some of those in-home visits. So yesterday, I gave you guys an update on EPL. And then this morning, you saw why I gave you an update on EPL. Because Bill Beatenbow did an in-home visit with Eddie Pierre-Louis. So you see the staff going out on the road. They're going to state championship games. They're visiting the players at home. This is an opportunity for them to maybe try to flip players or close the deal on some guys that they would really like to close on. So although Oklahoma is not in the playoffs or the big New Year's Six games, just understand that it might be for our better because the staff's going to get more time to go out there and do some of the most important recruiting that they can do in their careers before Oklahoma goes to the SEC. Now, focusing on this game here, the question I think is who's going to opt out? Because I feel like you're going to have a couple guys opt out. Additionally, does Dillon Gabriel play in this game? And, if so, does he hand the reins off midway to Jackson Arnold? Or does Dillon Gabriel enter the transfer portal to go to Mississippi State or a place like in the West Coast? Or does he enter the NFL draft and just decide not to play altogether? Personally, in my opinion, I don't think Dillon Gabriel opts out of this game because I think Dillon Gabriel is competitive enough and he has this competitive nature to want to play here in this game and help lead the Oklahoma Sooners to a bowl victory that they couldn't get last season. Also, one of the other things I'm going to be looking for in this game and watching leading up to this game is the running back room, because we had so many questions about the running back room and if it was going to be healthy enough this season. And Javonte Barnes was not the guy that we thought he would be. And then you had Emeka Megwa, who is this just guy that we got to the transfer portal that everybody was kind of had high hopes for, injured again, but you saw him here in the last game. What is this running back room going to look like when we head into the bowl game without Tawi Walker? Remember, Tawi Walker hit the transfer portal, which I think was a great move on his part. He's going to be able to go get a scholarship. He is going to be able to make himself some money wherever he goes. So, and potentially get a scholarship somewhere else. So I look at that. That's one of the things I'm watching. Additionally, I'm looking to see how many young players play in this game, because you do have several seniors, whether it's on the offensive line or on this defense, like Woody Washington and guys like that, who probably won't be returning. So how much do the young guys get to play, and what do they look like in this game going into next season? I think those are going to be a lot of headlines that Oklahoma fans are going to watch. And of course, as the staff's traveling, you're going to see players hosting their own practices, things like that, while the coaches are out. So you're going to really see the discipline of this team during this season. Now, the question is does BV call in old Stoops or somebody else to kind of help manage and run these practices with the players? Only time will tell. Now, I did a little bit of research on Arizona and Oklahoma, but we'll obviously do a more in-depth research to the teams closer to time, and we'll probably bring somebody on the podcast to review that. So, looking at the Arizona Wildcats schedule, they lost to Mississippi State at Mississippi State by 7 points. They lost to Washington, to Arizona. All of those games were by one score, a total of 17 points they lost to those teams by. An SEC team, and then a playoff team, number 2 team in the country. And then, well, you lost to a bad USC team, but nobody expected Arizona at that time to be hanging in with USC. And I remember at this time, a lot of people, including myself, looked at USC and said, USC almost lost to a trash Arizona team. This Arizona team ain't going to go very far. It's not very good. And then they just spurred off some more wins. At number 19, Washington State against Cam Ward. They held Cam Ward in that offense to 6 points. Oregon State. Hey, that was a good Oregon State team. They go on the road and beat Colorado in Boulder. You go on the road and you beat a Utah team that, listen, they were hanging in there with a lot of teams this season. So I looked at the matchup comparison. Arizona, by the numbers, on paper, a much better team than Oklahoma. Number 36 in total defense, only allowing 340.9 yards per game, compared to Oklahoma, who is number 79 in total defense at 389.9 yards per game. Arizona has the number 18th total offense at 453.4 yards per game, compared to Oklahoma's number 5th total offense at 503.9 yards per game. Arizona, number 22 in scoring offense at 34.3 points per game, compared to Oklahoma's number 3 at 43.2. So a 11-point difference there. But Arizona has key wins against 3 top 25 opponents, including a college football playoff team, while Oklahoma only has key wins against 1 playoff team and SMU. You lost to Kansas and Oklahoma State. So I look at Arizona and I say, does Arizona have a better resume than Oklahoma? I mean, call me crazy, but it looks like it. And then Arizona has a better defense. Jeff Fish doing a fantastic job at Arizona in his first year. Arizona is definitely going to be a threat in the Big 12, and that's not something that I thought I'd be saying at the end of the year. So looking at the matchup for Oklahoma, it's going to be an interesting one. And like I said, it's going to be one that we're going to have to dive a little bit more into as this bowl season goes on, as you hear more about who's going to opt out and who's not. Like I said, probably, a couple days before, we'll do our pregame preview and we'll invite somebody like Jay or somebody on the show and we'll break it down. And we'll talk about it. But I want to talk about the initial thoughts of going to the Alamo Bowl. And my initial thoughts are, hey, it's not a bad break for Oklahoma. I mean, you You're going to go play an Arizona team that you should beat, right? But is going to be a good challenge. And I think there's going to be some fun headlines for Oklahoma going into the bowl game. Like I said, running backs, young guys, Jackson Arnold going to play. And I believe we will see him play. It's just a matter of, is he going to play the whole game? Is he only going to play a half? What does that look like for Oklahoma? So, guys, I want to hear from y'all. Join the discussion. Let me know your initial thoughts around Arizona versus Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. Are you guys going to be going? Because, hey, that's going to be a beautiful time of the year to go watch Oklahoma play in a bowl game.